Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of To the Welsh Critic Who Doesn't Find Me Identifiably Indian, a poem by Arundhati Subramaniam. In this poem, the speaker addresses an unnamed critic who is someone born into Western culture who is having trouble with issues of cultural expectation, which is immediately outed for stereotyping them into a homogeneous box that gives them the illusion of knowing her without needing to actually know the speaker. This illusion of knowledge is based on the speaker's dark skin having originated in some country where violent political upheaval is regular TV entertainment, and the supposition that they are British lit students given to reading Keats. In the first stanza, she confronts the critic's impression of her as a naive girl from India who has no business being so immersed in European literature. She also scornfully addresses the common tendency to assume the ultimate fantasy of such foreign visitors to England is live out the rest of their life as a character from Edwardian fiction. Then she shifts gear and admit the critic may well have some good reason for their expectations. The lack of the requisite passion for the game of cricket, a lack of fluency in the Tamil dialect, a less than culturally pure belief in the existence of nirvana. In the second stanza, she goes into detail about the critic's impression of her as someone who wants to be part of European culture. There is then an abrupt consideration about how a shared language paradoxically becomes the wedge that creates distance between the cultures that share it through an extended utilization of a literary device known as anaphora, in which the same phrase is repeating at the beginning of a number of lines. In the third stanza, she acknowledges her own cultural complexity, offering details that reveal how she is neither fully Indian nor fully European. She asks the critic to consider things like how much of that shared language belongs to each, how much should be carefully considered, and how much should be said in impulse, how much slang and how much proper diction are considered acceptable, and finally, how she pronounces certain words. All of these considerations of language use serves as means to measuring the identity of her without the need to ever speak to them as a means of actually establishing identity. In the fourth stanza, she addresses the broad issue of language, implying that language belongs to everyone and that her own use of language has been overanalyzed by critics. The object of her ire is not situated not as mere critic, but mediator of identity, and then proceeds to chastise them for manufacturing the elements that define this created identity they now criticize her for not meeting. These manufactured elements of identity include casual accumulated underground slang, literary interpretations of the speaker's culture by writers from the critic's culture, the expectation of stereotypical pronunciation failures, embedded images from the most convenient consumer interactions with foreigners from basically the same region. In the fifth stanza, she issues her final thoughts to the critic, sarcastically inviting him or her to analyze her, scrutinize her, label her, pity her, exert authority over her, and somehow in this process confer on her the importance that the critic has given his or her own culture on every page of world history. Finally, a sardonic cry of help to become a sociologically relevant across the globe as those Western culture which features prominently even in the history books of non-Western countries. Now let's go to the poem. You believe you know me. Wide-eyed English lit type. From a sun-scalded colony, reading by my Keats, or is it yours? While my country detonates on your television screen. You imagine you have cracked my deepest fantasy. Oh, to be in an Edwardian vicarage, living out my dharma with every sip of dandelion tea and dreams of the weekend jumble sale. You may have a point. I know nothing about silly mid-offs. I stammer through my Tamil, and I long for a nirvana that is hermetic, odor-free, bottled in Switzerland, money back guaranteed. This business about language. How much of it is mine? How much yours? How much from the mind? How much from the gut? How much is too little? How much too much? How much from the saloon? How much from the slum? How I versimilitude? How I say Brahandaranka? How I say Varaparam? It's all yours to measure. The pathology of my breath, the halitosis of gender, my homogenist plosives, about as rustic as a mouth freshened global village. Arbiter of identity, remake me as you will. Write me a new alphabet of danger, the new patios to match, the chola bronze of my skin. Teach me how to come of age. In a literature, you have bark scratched into scripture. Smear my consonants with cow dung and turmeric and gauduli. Pity me sweating rancid on the other side of the counter. Stamp my papers. Lease me a new anxiety. Grant me a visa to the country of my birth. Teach me how to belong the way you do on every page of world history. And here ends a poem. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.